You know, for as long as most of us can remember, one currency has absolutely dominated the global economy: the US dollar. It's the money the world uses for, well, pretty much everything: trade, investment, you name it. But what if that long reign is finally actually facing a real challenge? Today, we're going to dig into what's really going on.
So just how dominant are we talking? Well, get this. According to the IMF, nearly 58% of all the money held in reserve by central banks all around the world is in US dollars. Think about that. That one number, that's an incredible amount of global influence.
Okay, so what does being a reserve currency even mean? To put it simply, it's the planet's default setting for money. It's what you use to pay for big international deals, it's how things like oil are priced, and it's seen as a super stable place to park your cash. And yeah, being the world's reserve currency gives the United States a massive amount of economic and political leverage.
Which, of course, brings us to the big question. For the first time in a long time, a serious, coordinated effort is underway to chip away at that dominance. So why now? What's the big deal all of a sudden?
All right, let's start with the motive. To really get why this whole de-dollarization thing is happening, we've got to look at the events that started to shake the very foundations of the system.
Now, this idea isn't brand new, but the trend just hit light speed at a very specific moment: February 2022, right when Russia invaded Ukraine. That single event sent a massive shockwave through the world's financial centers.
And it was the West's reaction that really made everyone sit up and take notice. It wasn't just sanctions. It was the decision to freeze hundreds of billions of Russia's foreign currency reserves. As the investment firm Invesco put it, this was a potential game changer. All of a sudden, other countries looked at their own dollar holdings and thought, wait a minute, could that happen to us?
And that fear is pretty much boiled down to three key reasons for de-dollarization. First, there's the geopolitical risk. Countries want to make sure their economies are sanction-proof. Second, economic vulnerability. They want to be shielded from the ups and downs of U.S. economic policy. And third, and this one's huge, technological opportunity. For the first time, new digital systems are making real alternatives seem truly possible.
So who's actually leading this charge? Well, this isn't just one or two countries going it alone. What we're seeing is a growing coalition of really powerful emerging economies, all kind of working together.
And you can see some of the key players right here. You've got China, which is pushing hard to make its own currency, the renminbi, a global player. Russia is scrambling to move its reserves into things like gold and yuan. And then you have economic giants like Saudi Arabia, Brazil, and India, who are all starting to strike deals to trade directly in their own local currencies, completely bypassing the dollar. And you gotta understand, this isn't just about spreadsheets and currency charts. It's about power. As this quote really nails, this is all part of a much bigger story: the rise of the global south. These nations are basically saying, hey, we want a bigger voice in how the world is run, and building a new financial system is a core part of that demand. Okay, so we've got the why and the who. But what about the how? What's the actual blueprint for building a world that's less hooked on the dollar?
Well, the strategy is pretty methodical, and it really comes in three main parts. Step 1, diversify your reserves, get them out of just dollars. Step 2, strike more direct trade deals using your own local currencies. And Step 3, this is the really ambitious one, build entirely new financial infrastructure from the ground up, new payment rails for the global economy.
See, for decades, the main financial highway everyone used was called SWIFT. It's a messaging system that lets banks talk to each other for cross-border payments. But now, China has been busy building a parallel highway called CIPS. Now, it's not a perfect one-for-one replacement. It actually still uses SWIFT for some messaging, but it is a dedicated and fast-growing alternative for actually settling payments in China's currency.
And this isn't just theory. The growth is very real. I mean, look at these numbers. The volume of transactions handled by SWIFTs has just exploded, jumping from about $14 trillion in 2022 to over $24 trillion just 2 years later. That is some serious momentum.
So after looking at the motive, the challengers, and the blueprint, what's the verdict? Is the dollar's time at the top really over?
Well, not so fast. The dollar still has some massive advantages. It has what you call incumbency. It's a system everyone already knows and is built to use. U.S. financial markets are by far the deepest and most liquid in the world, meaning it's incredibly easy to buy and sell dollar-based assets. And honestly, despite everything, the dollar is still widely trusted as a safe place to be when things get chaotic.
This chart right here really puts it all into perspective. The dollar is still the undisputed champ,
at nearly 58%. But look at the rest of that pie. The euro, the renminbi, and a whole bunch of other currencies now make up a combined 42.2% of global reserves. The world is clearly, and you can see it right there, diversifying its money.
So, the final verdict isn't some dramatic Hollywood-style collapse of the dollar. No, it's something a lot more subtle, but maybe just as profound. A slow, steady, deliberate shift. The goal here isn't to replace one king, but to create what you might call a multipolar financial world, one where several currencies share the stage and no single country gets to call all the shots.
And this leaves us with a really fascinating question for the future. We are literally watching the construction of brand new financial highways, built on different technologies and connecting different parts of the world. The big question for the next decade isn't just who's building them, but where exactly are they all going to lead?